I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money day.
Yeah. Check, check, check. 1, 2. How you guys doing? Welcome to Ride Along Live for today. It's Tuesday. Very important day. So we should have a very important conversation. How you doing, Peace Side, East Side, the West Side? How you doing? Welcome. Who came in first? Princess Leah. Big up and welcome. Jennifer, welcome. Guys, come in and share the thing quickly. Share the thing quickly. We have to have this conversation. This conversation is long overdue. Hey, Lois JJ, how you doing, guys? Guys, and when you come in, I want you to put your flag up, right? Because this is a conversation for the entire region. This is a conversation. I want to get your guys' input, and I want to get everyone from the region, because what we are about to speak on today is essentially affecting the whole Caribbean region, the Eastern Caribbean, Western Caribbean. It don't matter where you're from, it is affecting you. If it's not affecting you yet, it will affect you. So we have to talk about things that would mitigate against situations like this. I'm talking about the increase in gun violence, violent crime that we've been seeing throughout the region. So let's talk. Let's conversate. Kibbs, how you doing? Peace Side, big up. Important conversation, guys. That's why I want everybody to share. I want everybody to share this. In fact, let me share it to a few of my friends, my other friends, because I want them to chime in as well. And we're putting up the phone number up earlier, because this is as much your conversation as it is ours, right? So joining us on the line today, if you could turn on his camera, is attorney at law, Mr. Dennison George. People oftentimes mistake us. Well, we are brothers. I mean, hey. Attorney at law, Mr. Dennison George, Forrester George. He's been at this, a social advocate, a musician, a social commentator. He's an advocate. He's everything in one. That's why I think it's good to have my brother on here to help us put this whole thing into perspective, And what is even important, he could chime on, he could talk about, is that he was also involved in gun violence, where he almost lost his life at a young age. We'll touch on that in a little bit. First of all, my brother, welcome to the ride. How are you doing?
Hey, Junior. Thanks for inviting me here. This is
Absolutely,
good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I almost said you need absolutely no introduction because people know you're a right along favorite.
Yes, 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 yes.
All right, Denison. So first and foremost, let's touch on this because, as I said, it's affecting the entire region. What's your take on this increase in gun violence that we've been seeing so prevalently across the region? What's your assessment of the situation?
Well, it's very alarming, especially for a society like Grenada, which we're definitely not accustomed to that level of seeing any type of violent crime committed with a gun. Other countries like Jamaica and possibly Trinidad and Guyana and Haiti, there is a history there of violence committed with a firearm. But the Eastern Caribbean, like Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, the whole the Windward Islands, over the last few years, yes, there has been an increase in violence with a firearm, not only robbery but also assault. And as I say, a society like Grenada, which is not accustomed to that, one is too many. I think so far Grenada had almost three, I think 3 or 4 homicide this year.
Well, actually, it's 17.
Well, yeah, 17 homicide, but with the use of a gun, I
It-
think it was 3 or 4. If I'm not, I could be wrong on that. But
right.
that's even 3 or 4 is too much for a society like Grenada. We're definitely not accustomed. So it is alarming, and yes, the statistics clearly show that the Caribbean has a great increase in violence. It's one of the highest per population compared to other countries. But I think the reason why the scale is so skewed is because of countries like Jamaica and Haiti and Trinidad and Guyana. But it is alarming, especially for a little country like Grenada. I'm not
Yes.
accustomed to that kind of stuff.
Yes. Well, the let me give you guys some quick statistic because the um, ACP, Vanny Cohen, had a press conference today and they outlined the current statistic, the current update on the violent crime. So, what we've seen, what was reported today is at present, as of today, right? There were 17 homicides, with 15 of those homicides being criminal homicide. Now, that doesn't mean that all this criminal homicide was done with a firearm. We have, cutlass, we have choppings, another criminal homicide that took place on the island. But nevertheless, we are 11 months, 9 months, sorry, into the year. The year is not already completed, and we already have 17. Now, this is kind of alarming. And what we're seeing that this doesn't only prove true for Grenada. We're seeing islands who doesn't normally have this increase in violent crime and homicide. We're seeing an upsurge like we saw in St. Lucia and other Caribbean islands as well. Mr. George, what do you think is really driving? What's the driving force of all of this criminal homicides, especially for
Well, well, based on my experience, and I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware that I also have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice
right?
from John Jay, and I did some really good studies in that area. There is a saying that gun don't kill people, people kill people. And that's one of the argument that is used here in the U.S. all the time. Gun don't kill people, people kill people. But I think as we have to look at what's happening in the Caribbean. Definitely, you have a downturn in social movement. You have a lot of unemployment among young people. You have more young people today feel hopeless, feel helpless, feel like they're not going anywhere with their lives, and a lot of young people today are just fed up, and the frustration of not can't find work, going to school, graduating with degrees, and then cannot find a job or have to take some mediocre job. So as you have a decrease in social upward mobility, you would also find that in any society, in the Middle East, any society, when you have that downtown in social mobility, when you people have people, the downtrodden, the people who can move up in society, then you're going to have an increase in violence, because people feel they have nothing to lose. And the sad thing is that more people are using weapons like guns for robbery in the Caribbean, especially in the Eastern Caribbean, than any other time before, because a gun is the easiest way to get your victim or to commit a crime. But I think definitely you have to look at economics. This is not only a situation about gun. This is also have to tie to economics. And when as I said before, as I keep saying, when you have a downtown in economics, the economic situation, and the prospect of your population, you're gonna have violence. You're gonna have an increase in poverty. You're gonna have an increase in many other things, and that's what is happening in the Caribbean. A lot of young people feel they have nothing to live for,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel their lives just I Junior, when I was a kid in Grenada, I left Grenada very young. People used to go into prison was something that people used to frighten of. People
Right.
don't go, but now you have Richmond Hill Hotel, and people go into prison at Richmond Hill Hotel to some of these criminals is like nothing. And again, you have to have punishment that fit the crime. And in Grenada, I know people that kill people and go to prison for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and back on the street. And that's not punishment. And I think also too, when you have such a long gap between trial and prison, you really don't see the dynamics between punishment and and people changing their attitude. I mean, I'm
Mm.
sure if someone killed someone in Grenada this month and it tried within 6 months and sent to prison, then it would have some kind of effect, positive effect on crime and punishment. But
Yeah.
that's my take on it. It all have to do with economics. When people feel they have nothing, especially young men, we have to be honest. Young men in Grenada is in crisis.
Yeah.
Is in crisis, and I've been saying that. I've been ringing that bell for a long time. We have to try to reach the young men in Grenada, the politician, the church, the bankers, the farmers. Everybody have to come together and talk about what is happening to young black men, the young men in Grenada. There is a crisis
Now,
among the
now
young
you're
men.
saying that there is a direct correlation between unemployment and or poverty and crime.
Oh, sure,
And it's
sure.
definitely evident. And you're correct. Because in any society where there is unemployment and there is a disparity between the rich and the poor, the rich might be, or the people that might have, the wealthy or whatever, they go into certain events or they're doing certain things. And those who may not have that is just sitting and watching that. As I saw in Ghana when I went there, the disparity is so wide. You walk down the street, there is rich, like wealthy people that have big house, mansion. And right on the other side, the people that are basically eating dust on the street, right? So the disparity is wide. But what have changed over the past years, Denison?
Let me tell you what have changed. I just got back from Grenada recently after spending a while there. In any society where you have a disconnect between
Mm-hmm.
the elderly and young people,
Uh-huh.
you're going to have a breakdown in social order. When I was a child in Grenada growing up, I'm talking about 6, 7, 8 years old. In the evening time, young men go on the bridge and you sit and you listen to old people talk. And you
Mm-hmm.
can't talk when they talk. You had a respect for the elders in the village. Anyone in the village could have whipped you if you get out of hand.
True.
Now, what I realize in Grenada, there is a disconnect. The older folks want nothing to do with the younger folks, because some of the younger guys have no respect for the older people. So you see the older people who sit in the veranda and watching and peeping, and that camaraderie that used to take place with young people and old people sitting on the bridge in the evening and talking, and you respect your elders and you listen. That is gone. That is missing from Grenada society. And anytime you have a society where they don't have that deep connection between the elderly and the young people, and the young, to help mold the young people, you know, And again, we have to look at look at the influence of foreign television and the media and when I mean the when you look at Facebook and all these
Social
social
media, yeah.
media, when I mean it plays a great role in upbringing of children. In Grenada years ago, so the community it took a village to raise a child.
Yeah.
Now people doing it by Google and Facebook.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you are the good parent trying to raise your child. You have to compete with all the social media outlets. And I think, Junior, just take a poll in Grenada and ask how many young men, how much of them know how to make a roller? How much of them know how to make a top? You know? And then it's all, I think that's where the breakdown starts. But I think it's not, I think it could be reversed. There have to be more programs to reach young men in Grenada. As I said, you have to. I listen. I've said it before. I think the government should call some kind of a big thing in Queens Park. We have big concerts in Queens Park. Bring the young men in Queens Park. Bring the clergy. Bring the priests. Bring the lawyers. Bring the bankers. And let's talk about how you could uplift young men again, not only in Grenada but in all the other islands. And I think then you would see some kind of change because as I say, when you're living in a society where you feel you have no chance of moving up and you think the deck is stuck against you, then you have nothing to live for. And what do? You just look to violence and the easiest way out. And
Yeah.
not in every case. And I mean, there's people who have opportunities and people who are born into wealthy families that still commit crime. That still commit crimes.
We got a caller on the line. We got a caller on the line again. We want to engage you in this conversation, guys. So let's go. We got a caller on the line. Caller, you live. Where are you calling us from?
I actually am calling from Jamaica.
Jamaica, go right ahead. Nice to have you on the
man.
conversation, Jamaica.
Blessed. Once I saw the topic and it popped up on the live, I couldn't resist the urge to call in.
Yeah, man.
My name is Ayasite. I'm a reggae artist.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of stuff that you are talking about, trust me, in regards to the disparity between the young and the elders in Guyana, my brother, I just want you to know that it is not unique to Guyana. It is
Grenada and the rest of the Caribbean.
Problem here. It is not unique. Here in Jamaica, elders don't party, or they don't go to the same stage show that the youngsters go. They try to they separate themselves as far as possible because, as he says, there is no respect in regards to elders anymore. You very rarely see persons getting up off the bus and giving seat to the elders. It is a thing of the past. A child now in your village here, you cannot reprimand that child. You cannot correct that child because you might correct the child and then the child go home and tell the parents, and then instead of the parents being happy that an adult prevent their child from doing something out of the norm or something out of the way, the parents would come to you and they will give you a piece of their mind also.
Right.
And I'm not sure, but I listen to a lot of personal development books and stuff. And one of the things that is mentioned over and over is that us as a race, we always gravitate to the negative stuff. We very rarely promote the positive stuff. The positive stuff is hard to promote. The negative stuff spread like wildfire.
Yes.
And he says we have to, as parents now, we have to be competing with the internet and the various social sites that is out there and all these movie channels and the things that these kids are exposed to. But guess what? We have very many parents who from the babies are in the tummy are exposing the children to these very same thing that is destroying us right now.
Yeah. Jamaica, tell us about the society and the political and policing in Jamaica as it relates to crime. Are they taking more hard approach? Is government taking more hard approach? Because I did hear your prime minister said one time that if you find someone with a firearm, the death penalty, and taking that strong arm approach, is that rhetoric working in Jamaica to curb the crime?
Jamaica, Jamaica, when it comes to laws and regulation, is a 9-day wonder. You will have them say one thing, but there is a thing here in Jamaica where once you have the money, you have the ability to curb the law, so to speak. There are a lot of blatant crime that is being committed here in Jamaica. Just to name one, a couple of weeks ago, maybe less than a week ago, a young lady, 25-year-old, stabbed her mother to death, 65-year-old, and she walked 12 miles to the police station to give herself up. But that case is still going to the court. Normally, what the prime ministers are doing is that murder charge is automatic, 25 to life.
Yeah.
Catch you with a gun, it's 15 years. No, if you have a law that set that out, right out, it is written. If you get caught with a gun, and I don't see the need for you to be going to the courts.
Right. You're saying
But
you're saying if you get caught with a gun, you don't see the reason for them to go to the court?
No, I don't see it because the law is there. If I catch you with a gun, you're getting 15 years, no questions asked. So if you get caught with a gun, and it is the police here, they need to wear those body cams.
Right.
Because to prevent corruption. So if you put that in place and I catch you with a gun, I personally, this is my personal view, I don't see the need of you to go into the court.
But what about due process? I know the attorney here will talk about the due process and I mean, legal minds are here. So Dennis, what's your thoughts?
Well,
that's okay. Go ahead.
yeah. Listen, no one likes crime and crimes, and no one want to be a victim of crime. And when you have a society, that is riddled with crimes and violence, no one is happy. You know what I mean? You want to live in a country, or you want to live in a place where your children could go down the road and you could leave your door open in the night. And we have, listen, the entire Caribbean from Haiti to Grenada is a paradise. And the only thing that plagues us is we have food, we have nice beaches, we have the only thing that plagues us in the Caribbean, that in the entire region, is violence and
It's crime.
is crime. And if we could really solve that issue, all issues related to violence and crimes, it would make everyone to be happy. I understand what the caller from Jamaica is saying, but we still everyone have a right to a due process. Everyone have a right to be given a chance to prove that they're innocent until proven guilty. So the right to due process is a fundamental right and the universal right recognized by the UN and UN Charter. So yes, I understand the frustration. Sometimes, listen, if you ask me if my family was a victim, I'll say bring the death penalty back. Because I honestly believe if you bring the death penalty back in Grenada or Jamaica and these countries, I think it will have some kind of positive effect. That's just my view. But everyone is entitled to due process, regardless of of the circumstances.
Yeah. But
Right.
it's a strong stand. It's a very powerful stand that Jamaica is taking still. Because again, I don't know if it's just rhetoric, I don't know if it's just talk, I don't know if it's just political conversation, but I did hear a prime minister speak out very strongly about anyone caught with a firearm. I just wanted to know if that's any kind of deterrent for would-be crime, would-be attackers or criminals.
It's not. It's not. Because even though it is said, he said it, but it is not reflecting in the actions.
Right.
I haven't seen in the news where it says, since the prime minister announced that it's automatically 15 years if you get caught with a gun, there is 10 persons or 12 persons or 15 persons that has been sentenced to 15 years. I haven't heard it.
Right. So it seems like rhetoric.
And sometimes it's rhetoric. And
Mhm.
sometimes you just need to make an example out of one, and it will have a ripple effect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I
But
would
if
think.
you say something and society realize that you are not serious, they will push you to the limit, and they will take you for a laughing stock, and that is what is taking place right now out here in Jamaica.
Wow. Thank you, Jamaica.
With
Thank you for your
all
perspective on this here, because as I said, one of the things, many things I love about Jamaica. I'm in Jamaica a lot on vacation. Just recently, last year, I was in Jamaica on a vacation, and the place is so nice, man. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful,
it's
man.
beautiful. It's
Beautiful.
the problem with the Caribbean, I don't want the rest of the world to believe that what is taking place in the Caribbean in terms of crime is being committed by the majority. It's
You're
the
right.
minority.
Yes, you're right.
Because you have been to Jamaica, the Caribbean have some of the most beautiful set of persons when it comes to personalities.
Yes, yes, and friendly people as well. But one of the things when I
And
went in Jamaica,
friendly people.
one of the drawback for me was that the hotel telling me don't go walking out in the street after this certain hour. I'm like, darn it. I want to go to
Right.
the market. I want to go buy some mango. I want to explore the place. But because of
I
the
have
crime situation, I was warned what I
right.
could and could not do on my vacation, and that kind of set me back a bit because I wanted to explore.
And you know what? If you had met someone to really take you to the market, you would wonder, what is this? Why am I being advised? The thing is, the I met persons as recently, maybe at about 3 months ago, and they wanted to go in town,
Hmm.
but the hotel tell them the exact same thing that they told you. But they call me as someone who they know and trust. And when I take them for a walk
Hmm.
into the town and around the town, it was the highlight of their vacation.
Yes, and that's what happened.
You, I,
A local took me to
r-
the tongue. A local walked me to the tongue,
right,
and it was nice. But the fact that you can't just go and explore, that for a lot of
right.
people is like, oh darn it, you know what I mean?
It's a
So I
it's a big drawback.
it's a
Yeah.
big drawback. So I'm frightened by increased crime in the small islands like St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who had 38, I believe, 38 criminal homicides to date, and Grenada climbing at 17. The alarming thing is that if
Wow.
the crime in this small island were to rise, we'll have a very bad situation throughout the Caribbean island. It affects the whole entire region. And that is
My
concerning.
brother, I envy I envy those nations that you mentioned just now. We are over 1,000.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Listen, Jamaica, thank you for calling and put this thing into perspective for us, because it's all of us in this together, and people hearing from you and people learning. I mean, this is a conversation I think, and the next time, even if we could have you on a panel so we could discuss it amongst the islands, so everyone could talk about their situation, their problems, and see how we could fix it. Not from a governmental perspective, but just from a media perspective. I think we could do a lot. And I'll keep your number
I
and I appreciate you calling. But I think you could be a definite benefit to this further conversation going forward.
I would appreciate that, my brother, and I will continue to listen to the rest of the program, and just as I said, just continue, keep your head up, keep the positivity going, because that's the only way we are going to win.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, Jamaica. I appreciate you. Yeah. Dennison, he said he is envious.
Well, Grenada, we have to be honest. I think Grenada only had 3 a couple years ago, the year before.
Right.
Now we're up to 18. So we have you're talking about thousands of % increase. But Junior, you know what it comes down to? We have to have government that cares about their people. And we have to have governments in the region that is going to invest in their people and their young people. You could pass all the gun laws you want in Jamaica or Grenada, and I've been to Jamaica a lot, also in the reggae business years ago, and I used to tour a lot. You could pass all the gun laws in you want. Look at the why do you think the U.S. invests so much in some of the Middle Eastern countries? Because the U.S. know how terrorists comes about when there is no hope.
Yes, true.
And that's why the U.S. gives so much aid to some of the Middle Eastern countries, because they realize poverty and hopelessness is breeding ground for terrorism.
Yes, true.
Now, you could pass all the gun laws in Jamaica you want. If you don't have a government that investing in young people and showing that you care about the young people, I think that's the solution. Look at Trinidad, one of the wealthiest country in the hemisphere. And look what happened in Trinidad. Look what Trinidad has become.
Yeah.
And when you have a society where you have politicians and the upper class getting away with murder, it's going to trickle down to the lower people. Now, I'm going to tell you this. What I saw happen in Grenada over the last couple of years, and I've spoken out about this. When you, in criminal justice, there is a model. When they call it broken window syndrome.
Yes,
Have you ever the broken
we was
window
talking
syndrome?
to Vanny Cohen about that.
Right. When you have a building with one window broken, if you don't fix it, and you got another window break, and another window, then the whole building
Crumbles.
crumbles.
Yeah.
In Grenada, what I've realized in Grenada, people are going into people's land, taking their stuff. Nothing is being done. You report it to the police, they write some fake report. When time comes to go to court, nothing is being done.
Yeah.
You have PDR larceny where farmers planting their stuff and people just go in and take it. When you have this kind of stuff in society where you let the little thing sip through and nobody cares and everybody turn the other side and everybody turn the other way, it's going to explode and it's going to get bigger.
Yes.
Now, I am saying is that this situation in the Caribbean, we have to have people in the Caribbean government that cares about the people and cares about the poor people and invest in children. If you invest in a child in a poor family and you help the child go on to college, go on, get her certificates, get her degrees, trust me, that child would not turn into to a criminal. So we have to have government in Grenada. Listen, and this is going to get, I don't want to say it's going to get worse, Junior, because I don't believe that's going to happen. I'm hoping this is just a fluke moosh, and that is going to. But when you have places in Grenada where you have so many young people who can't buy nothing for themselves, who don't have a good job. Let me take Grenada, for instance. And you seeing this guy coming from America and England and buying up all the big properties and buying up everything. What you thinking? How am I going to get there? So as you have the diaspora, more people from the diaspora coming back and investing in the country and doing stuff, the people who are stuck there, who don't have the opportunities, and they're looking at that and they're seeing there only way you have politicians singing in the Caribbean, stay in Grenada, stay in Jamaica, stay in Trinidad. But 90% of the politicians, the children going to school in America. And the children going to school in Canada. Some of them, the children even born overseas. You ask them when the children are going to school. Not in Grenada, not in Jamaica, some of these politicians and them, but they're telling you, let your children stay there. Instead of they helping you to provide your children with opportunities and scholarships and stuff that they could build, this is the economics problem, Junior. The gun violence and using the gun is just a tool of somebody, just expressing. It's expression. Right. The gun is a tool of expression. So I'm saying you have to invest in people. You have to invest. We have to show young men in Grenada that we care, that the government care, that the government gonna. And I'm saying there's a lot of lazy people who don't want to do nothing with their lives, and these are the ones that sometimes make it bad for others.
Right.
But we have to do better as a government to invest. And another thing, what I've realized over the years, too many women raise their daughters and didn't raise their son. And there is sometimes father is absent from the house.
Yeah.
And that isn't making. I see things happening in Grenada and I say, where is the men? Where is this one father? Where is the uncle? I see sometimes crimes, sexual abuse crimes, and I'm saying in my days when I was a child in Grenada, you do something like that, all the men in the village would beat you. You had to run. So what I'm saying is that we have to go back to the drawing board as a society, and as you know, we have to be honest. What I mean, the women have a tough job. As well, you know, women is the one running Grenada.
Yeah.
You pack your car in St. David's in the morning and watch 20 cars going down to St. George's. 15 driven by women.
Yeah.
5 is men. Where is the men?
Yeah. Well, a
So I'm saying,
Calypsonian sang this year. He says, women beating women in everything: education, upward mobility, development. Women
between men,
beating
between men.
women.
Women. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying
Women
is that
beating women.
yes, what I'm saying is that you have to be able to reach the downtrodden in society, the poor people in society, and the young men, and give them hope and invest in them, and trust me, you would see a turnaround. You would see a huge turnaround in Grenada, in Jamaica, especially in places like Jamaica where the wealth distribution is so uneven, and places like Haiti. You know, I spent a lot of time in Haiti in the past, and it is so unfair. But this government know what to do. They do it for their children. They just don't know want to do it for poor people's children.
Yeah.
And it's sad because who
Yeah.
always the victim? It's poor people.
To your program.
We got another caller on the line. Caller, you live. Where you calling us from?
Me you talking to?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, caller, you live.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. You live.
I'm calling from St. Vincent, really.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Go right ahead, St. Vincent.
Yeah, I just called because it's a very good program, a very enlightening one. But I think your panel, I think we have to be careful here that we don't simply reduce this problem to be an economic one, really. I think we have to look at all the various institutions in our society have a role to play. It's not just a governmental problem, really. All the various institutions have a role to play. So we have the churches have a role to play, the various social groups have a role to play, because the very network that helps to mold and fashion our people, they are important because they somehow give us a sense of personhood, and they provide us with the kind of information we need to develop our own self-worth and personhood. So I think it's more than just an economic problem, really. I think we have to look at the broader picture and somehow not to look at this issue simply as being a political one, but it's one in which all the various institutions and groups in our society have a very critical role to play, really. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, caller. And
Sure.
one of the things, Dennis, I want to get your point of view on this, right? Because there is a misconception that the crimes that are being committed are committed by some people who just they don't like a particular individual, or have been bunks up on that person, and they had some kind of argument, and something happened. But most of the times what we see in this situation, these people are family members. How do you deal with that? They are
And I don't,
family members, they are friends, they are close relative.
and not only that, Junior, most of the time these crimes are committed after they did what? Drink what?
Yeah, after they drink rum, eh? Sometimes, in some cases,
Yeah.
they say, after, it might be a situation, but not even, Denison. Sometimes it's a crime of passion, or it might be a situation where it's a fallout between family. I've seen situation where family pull cutlass on another family member. So you have to go back to the drawing board and isolate that, and try to figure out what is going to people's mind. One of the things, Denison, I think that is plaguing and has been plaguing a lot of people in Grenada, and they never dealt with it over the past years, is the revolution. A lot of people never really dealt with the psychological effect of that,
Well, Junior, another thing too is that there is another school of thought that would tell you there is no increase in crime in Grenada. There is just an increase in coverage. There is some people that would argue with you and say, listen, now everybody have a camera in their hand. Everybody have a video camera. Everybody's posting on Facebook and posting on Instagram, and the many times something happens, someone put it up. And before you didn't have that.
Right.
So things was happening in Guave, things was happening in Jamaica, things was happening in St. Vincent and Bob. Now it's instant. So definitely it's having a more negative effect now because we've seen it, exactly. Sometimes it's live.
Yeah.
You know that sometimes people are broadcasting crimes while while it's in operation. No, I think. Listen, if you ask me, I'm going to be honest with you. As you brought up the revolution, I honestly believe that, and I really don't want to get into this, but I honestly believe when they didn't hang code on them, that was a bad taste in Grenadian mouth, and that was the end of the rule of law in Grenada. They should have executed all of them and set an example.
Right.
If these guys could get away with what they did on that October 23rd, trust me, who's going to respect the law after that? That's just my opinion.
Right. Well, in terms of effects, right, I believe there are psychological effects or there are traumatizing situations that people go through in their life. And it may not or did not or does not show its face immediately, right? Like some people go into war and years after, I mean, they come out and they're acting normal and they don't know they have PTSD that is going to somehow plague them later down in their life, right? But there have to be a decompression of some sort. But I don't believe that after the revolution, a lot of people who went through it actually got that decompress. So it affecting them and
But
continuing to affect them even a time like now, where we're seeing all this bust of crazy happening.
let's take a look at the crimes that is happening in Grenada and some of the other islands. Is it crimes of opportunity? Is it crime of passion? Is it crime? So, and I think if you is it senseless violence? And that these are things that when I don't have the data on that so I really don't want to speak on it. I think most of the crime that most of the homicide that took especially in Grenada, I knew of a few of them. I think it's senseless violence.
It
Senseless.
is. It is.
Senseless.
And one
And
of the things that we're talking about, and we didn't even touch on, and probably we overlooking it, and it's not good that we overlook it, sexual related crimes, because sexual related crime far surpassed by
oh
probably about 50 to 60%
yeah,
of all other crimes. And it's just as bad because in essence, you're destroying a person's life. If we start to talk about all that, this particular line of crime, will take us all program, the entire program. But this one specifically, I want to talk about the crime in relation to criminal activities, homicide in particular. But that cannot be overshadowed, The fact that so many sexual crimes, I heard a ratio that said almost 8 out of 10 women was somehow sexually molested in their lifetime, probably even 9. And that's freaking crazy.
yeah,
Those numbers are alarming
yeah.
because the downtrodden of it is that, okay, someone was sexually molested and that affects them all the way down. It even may affect them when they reach to a stage that they may not want to get married, and that might affect their decision to have kids, and that might affect their ability, I ain't saying that it will, affect their ability to earn a good substantial living, and they might have to turn to other means to obtain these financial resources. So
I,
there is all these different lines of
uh,
things that may affect someone just because they were somehow sexually molested at a tender age.
I could tell you this, Julia. There is a lot of women in the Caribbean, and not only the Caribbean, here in North America too. But there's a lot of women from Caribbean descent that is living in pain and has been carrying this pain for 30, 40, 50 years. And it's a sad situation. As you said, it could take a whole maybe 10 program to address that situation, regarding crime of sex crime in Grenada. Especially as we have a very, very high statistics, maybe one of the second, I think the second highest in the Caribbean when it comes to sexual crime, Grenada. And it's something that we shouldn't be proud of. It's something that we have to address. We still live in a macho society where men want to beat women, and men want to chop women, and men think women is their property. And when the woman wants to end the relationship, they revert to using cutlass and cutting and killing, and so that's a whole nother program.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother program, and it's our dirty little secret, and but Junior, the statistics that I'm in. But going back to crime, I understand the caller from St. Vincent. He's right. This is something that the whole community, everyone have to get involved in. The clergy, the bankers, and bring. If you're going to bring young men together, don't just bring and talk. Show them how they could earn a living. Show them how they could earn a skill. But as I say to you, Julia, there's so many brilliant young minds in the Caribbean that graduated from with 10 subjects and CXCs and can't find a job. Have to take some kind of mediocre job and never reach their full potential. And we have to address that. And I think everyone, government and government programs, and we have to make sure we let every child know that their lives is significant, and the government is going to invest in every child, and every child is going to have the opportunity to reach their full potential. And not just make that promise, but invest in have social workers and especially the most vulnerable,
Yeah.
more vulnerable communities. We have places in Grenada, communities that are very very vulnerable, and anytime you have vulnerability in a community, crime is going to fester.
True.
And these are the area that we have to pay. But in the Caribbean, we know in Grenada we pay more attention to the Grand Anse and the Lansipine and the Troubadour and the Rivera project instead of investing in places like Montoute and Apwetut up in St. David's. I've been to a community up in St. David's the last time when I was in Grenada, and I couldn't believe to see so much people living in poverty. And so I'm just saying is that we have the caller from St. Vincent is 100% right. It have to be a multifaceted approach from every aspect of society. Not only government. Government alone can't do it all. Government
Exactly.
don't go to bed with you tonight, and especially fathers. Fathers have to get back into their children's lives in those islands.
Yeah.
We have to have more fathers and brothers and everyone involved, and we can't just look the other way. And it's everyone, you go to Grenada, everybody's putting up the biggest wall to prevent the neighbor from seeing their business, and everybody is wants to separate from everybody. And this is not the way it used to be. As we came from a culture of people that with the ideology that it takes a village to raise a child, and we have to get back to that. And all hope is not lost. We are small nations in the Caribbean, but let's look at other nations where people invest in their people. Look at China. China is rising because the Chinese government invested in its people. India is rising because the government invested in their people.
Right.
That's all it takes in some of these islands. In Jamaica, as long as you have communities like Trenchtown and some of the other poor areas, which I can't, Maxfield Avenue and those areas down there, and as long as you have some of the poor areas in Jamaica where police only go to put peace, but and this and you don't have government investing heavy and in educating these young people and providing them with opportunities and a skill. Not only education, a skill, Julia.
Yes.
When my father then was young in Grenada, at the holiday time, you go and you learn a skill.
Right.
And
Right.
when you learn a skill, then you learn to be able to provide for your family.
Yeah.
Someone told me the last time that I heard someone said the last time, when you are a young man in Grenada, and to get a girl, you have to have a book in your hand, and you have to recite poem, and you have to write love letters,
Yeah. Love letters. Yeah.
and all these things are gone.
True.
So I'm just saying is that you have to provide people with opportunities. Where there is opportunities, and you would have better communities, safer communities, and you would find definitely a negative correlation. Opportunities and crime don't go together.
Do you think that more emphasis need to be placed less on finding employment or finding a job and tell, okay, go to school, get 10 subject, get 15, get whatever subject, and then go find a job? Less emphasis should be placed on that than emphasizing to the young people, go to school or get an education and then create employment or start a business or look at business opportunities, provide the conduit where people could start something on their own. Do you think that is a better model that should be implemented or looked at?
Well, I think people have to have hope.
Right.
and people have to have faith that thing is going to get better. You know, you have to have hope that the future is going to be bright, and it's going to be. What I think, I'm not saying you just go to school and get an education. You have to invest in people. You know,
Right.
if you have a business and you want it to succeed, you have to invest in your business. We have to invest in people like we invest in everything else. You understand? You know, you somebody want to go to school, they want to start a business. The government should have a, well, you have the in Grenada, you have the GDB bank, I believe, that was created to. But you need to have a set up a system where, Junior, I right in Grenville there, I meet a few young ladies who wanted to start a business, and I have put forward my own money to give them small loan to start, you know, whatever they have to do, 500. You know, that's a little program I have in Grenville right there. And I'm saying stuff like that. You need micro banks where people could go to borrow $1,000 to buy a few chickens or a few goats or a few, you know, animals, or to you know, buy some feed. You know what I'm saying? You micro banking, micro loans where people could, you know, go and get small loans. But when you have a place like Grenada where it's easier to get a loan to buy carnival costumes than
Yeah.
to buy, you know, to send your children to school, we have a problem.
That's right.
I
That's
listen,
right.
I am not, you know, against progress, you know. But when you have a culture that every song you hear is about rum and beating and kicking in the door, there is a problem. You understand? But Junior, I grew up here in the US. You and I went to the same high school together. We didn't go there at the same time. And you know, I went to one of the toughest high school in America. George Wingate High School is the worst high school in America. And I'm just
But
saying
not
is
at the
that
time. It wasn't the worst when I went there.
when I was there, it was the worst.
Okay.
The fourth worst high school in America was all in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And I am saying is that people didn't, half of the kids I went to high school with, they are dead. You know, I was one of the blessed ones. You know, I was gunned down when I was 18 years old. You know, young man here in Brooklyn, going to work one morning. I had like 3 jobs, you know, and it was Christmas time, hustling, doing my business. And this guy came from a house, killed 2 people, and you know, and shot a police officer. And I was one of the people that he walked up to and just put a gun to my head and fired. Thank God it went through my chest, came through my shoulder, and I'm still alive today. And you know, but when you have violence, especially gun violence, there is no winners. You know, it affects families. You know, too many young people are living in fear. It's not easy to lose a young one to violence, especially senseless violence. You know, and then you have the perpetrator who commit these kind of crimes. Are you there, Junior?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I'm listening.
Perpetrators who commit these kind of crimes 10 years later, 40 years later. You know, sorry they did it. The guy who shot me got life in prison. And he still write to me sometimes and then try to communicate with me to see if I can help him to get out of prison, but he's there for the rest of his life. And I'm just saying, you know, I live in pain constantly. You know, I you know, because my shoulder was basically torn off, so I, you know, have a lot of nerve damage. But I did not let that prevent me from going on to college and getting my degrees, and it didn't prevent me from going on to law school. It didn't prevent me from touring, you know, as a reggae musician. And you know, but I'm just saying is that I know personally when I speak about gun violence, I'm not speaking from a textbook. I'm telling you as a victim. It's not a nice thing to happen to you, and you know, I live with this every day. And I mean, it was hell. And when I got shot, I was only 18 years old, and it was hell. It was hell. And I mean, I could tell you this: I lived in pain and serious pain for 3 4 years, and had major surgery. We had veins had to be taken out from my legs to do grafting in my shoulder, and you know, but I didn't let it stop me from moving on in my life. And very few people know that. I basically really don't talk about that. But you know, it's to all the young people that, you know, in the Caribbean that think that picking up a gun is the only way out, and trust me, it's not. And when you use a gun and you take someone else's life, it's something you have to live with. As I told you, the gentleman who shot me, and he was convicted of killing 2 other people and a police officer. He's doing a life in prison, and I wish he writes to me sometimes, and I know he wish he could take that back, but he's gonna spend the rest of his life in prison. So my thing to young people is that, yes, I know life is tough, and I know sometimes opportunities are difficult to come by, and sometimes it's hopeless, and it's you have no faith, and you don't feel like your life is going anywhere, and you think the easiest way is to get involved in crime. To me, my advice to you is just, it doesn't worth it.
Yeah.
It does not worth it. You
Wow.
know, it does. We're living in a global village today where you could access the internet and try to seek opportunities worldwide. And so basically my thing is that it isn't worth it.
Right. We got another call on the line, Dennison. Caller, like we're calling us from.
Good afternoon, Junior. Doug Howard. I calling you live from Queens, New York.
Queens, New York. Doug Howard, how you doing? Vinci crew.
I am good, the Vinci crew in the house. You know,
No.
I listen to your program. Yeah. I listen to what is happening in our region in the English-speaking Caribbean.
Yes.
And one of the biggest problems that we suffer in the English-speaking Caribbean is a togetherness with these politicians. I think our biggest problem is the political system that we're in. Everybody wants to be king.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we having some problem, especially in the Eastern Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
Specific. We having a rise in crime that has never been in our region. This is historical chart that we are charting right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for example, in St. Vincent, we has right now, as of Saturday, we have 38 murders, homicide, whatever they want. They want to play politics with what it is.
Right.
We have 38 people dead, most of them by gun violence. And in St. Vincent in particular, we've been setting record numbers of murders for the last 15 years. Every year we're getting higher and higher. And we are on the path of making it over the highest number that we had so far, 42. We are 38. We are 38 as of today. And I would say 39 because I would consider that Vincentian, who was murdered yesterday in Grenada, as a hit out of St. Vincent.
That's fine.
You know?
Yeah.
And the politicians don't want to take the hard steps in putting our country force and putting it back on a path that will benefit the people into the future. And I believe in my heart of heart that they are the main problem for the problem that we are having. Because when you look at the kind of people that is supporting and the politician and them is protecting and supporting them financially and all that kind of thing, you got drug dealers, crooks, criminal, thief, who is help financing political parties throughout all these islands.
Mm-hmm.
And people is afraid to say it. And when you finance a party, just like you finance a political party in any part of the world, when you put up money on the party, when you expect something back.
Yeah. Like how the NRA support political organization and endorse political organizations here.
Exactly. They expect something back.
Right.
They expect something back. They find in America here where we live, Junior, they find the NRA financing a lot of the Congress and senators. So when things come up against them, they vote it down.
Right.
Same thing happening in our islands with the people who financing some of these criminal activities. And then you have people who don't give accountability to the mass of the people for what is happening in the islands. And That is our problem. And what is happening again is the level of violence by gun. You know, in St. Vincent, a guy got killed Saturday morning and one got killed Wednesday, Thursday, two different locations. And each one of them was hit with 17 bullets. And it sent a message that 17 has to be something in the picture. And I won't put it past the number of bullets that was fired yesterday in Grenada. I will bet it has to do with 17. But nobody wants to talk about it. The Prime Minister of St. Vincent and Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who been the Minister of National Security in St. Vincent since 2006, January 2006, I think he should be fired and had to pay back all the money because he ain't doing his job. I'm a Vincentian and I'm speaking on behalf of my people that I support in St. Vincent. I think he should be fired and make to pay back all the money because under his watch, crime just keep escalating. Security keep lapsing. People coming in and out of St. Vincent with drugs, all kind of Venezuelan coming in, killing people in St. Vincent, getting arrested, put in jail. The Prime Minister send them back to Venezuela and say when the case come up, they will be coming back to St. Vincent. Never happened. Kill a custom officer in Union Island. Never happened. You have cocaine on top of the anchor. When the police pull it up, they say soap powder. You have a man load of cocaine in Union Island inside of the bottom of his Chester jar in his bedroom. It goes to St. Vincent. They say the man got white cement. And this kind of stupidity that the thing. You have the OEA clinic in St. Vincent. A nurse just get 2 years in jail for 64 kilos of cocaine that they claim is she who hide it in the clinic in OEA. And no nurse had nothing to do with that. And if you got 64 kilos of cocaine, it don't never get sentenced in no magistrate court. It goes to the high court. So these are the kind of things that we have in these islands and in our country, all over the Caribbean, especially English-speaking Caribbean. And we expect things to change. We could talk. I talk, you talk, we protest, we do what we have to do to try to stem some of this violence because of the love of our country and our region.
Yeah.
But it is of no avail. It is of no avail, Junior. So I don't know, where do we go from here? I think we got to take a different road of politician. And I think we got to take the road of Singapore, where we have to give up some of our rights for the betterment of everybody.
Because the thing about it is we are all linked. The Caribbean region has a free trade arrangement where someone from St. Vincent could get to Grenada, or get to Carriacou, or get to free movement. And if there is a lapse in security measures in one territory, it basically means that every other territory is vulnerable.
Yes.
And
yes.
we're seeing instances where we had a bank robbery in Carriacou, right? And that was pinged back to Tobago. We have situations before where a young man got shot in Guave, I believe, and a Vincentian was arrested in that hit as well. And this other Vincentian that was shot yesterday, there's a lot of words that getting around of his activities, right? His activities in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Grenada. So we're linked. If there's a lapse in security measures in one place, it affects the other territory. That's part of what we're seeing here.
And that is what we are seeing. And one thing I could assure you, Junior, and your audience, I could assure you this. It will continue if we don't stamp it out. But is anybody willing to be the one who say, we had enough of this, enough, no more? Is any one of the politicians could put legislative laws, could come out with the police force Is any one of them could come and say enough no more? They're not doing it. So I don't look for no knight and shining armor coming from all kind of places. In St. Vincent, you had 5 murders, right? One day. I call it Bloody Wednesday, right? You had 5 murders, one day, one spot.
Yeah.
And the Prime Minister say, oh, we're going to get Scotland Yard and we're going to get the mounted police in Canada to come and assist us. Now, you know and I know, in the lands, you could bring all the mounted police. The crime scene, as you see it unfold, has been so contaminated.
Right.
Everybody walked into the crime scene. Every single body. Man sat down in the crime scene, hugging up the dead man. Police tell him to move. He tell the police, he ain't moving. You got police walking through the crime scene without taping it off. And you expect Scotland Yard and mountain police to come and help you with investigation when you don't contaminate the crime scene from day one? They can't even protect a simple crime scene.
Hold it right there.
Come
Listen
on,
to this.
brother.
I want you to listen to this. Dennis, I want you to listen to this as well, right? Because the opposition leader in Grenada, Dr. Kit Mitchell, recently made a call or a pronouncement that the FBI or Scotland Yard should come into Grenada to investigate this issue. So that question was brought forth to ACP Vanny Corwin today. This was Vanny Corwin's response.
RGPF at this point, but I'm going to speak from my own personal position of the ACP responsible for crimes. I don't think that there are anything at this point that is beyond the resources, beyond the experience of our local police officers that we need to go outside. However, having said that, no amount of assistance is too much. But I don't think we are at the point yet where we believe that we need external help in any of the matters that we are currently investigating. Because what is important here is information. And unless you tell me that some foreign expert will be able to get Grenadians to talk to them easier than we will be able to do, well, so be it. But at this point, I don't think we are at the point where we need to go outside.
Junior, we're not hearing you. Not hearing you, Junior.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, caller, hold on right there. Dennison, what's your take on that? Do we need investigative force from outside to come in to investigate crimes that's happening?
Listen, I thought I heard that the former Prime Minister make that statement. I have a lot of respect for the former Prime Minister, but I think that was all politics. I think that yes, there is a lot of improvement that have to take place regarding the Royal Grenadian Police Force in policing. We know that, and I mean there's a lot of manpower skills lacking, but I don't think it's necessary at this point to bring in foreign police officers or Scotland Yard to work in Grenada. That would really lead to the demoralization of the Royal Grenadian Police Force. I think they are competent. I think there are a lot of competent, well-trained, seasoned officers within the Royal Grenadian Police Force who are capable of handling what's happening in Grenada right now. And I think if there is a certain case of forensic, obviously you need forensic expert, because there is no forensic expert in Grenada. There is not. I don't think there is any in Trinidad either. And if you need you have a case where you need a forensic pathologist to come in to analyze the evidence, then that's fine. You could bring in someone, but I don't think that is necessary right now. I think that was all politics by the former Prime Minister. But let me just say this to you, Junior. I don't know if you remember, Grenada and the Caribbean still haven't done any kind of studies to see the effect that COVID and that lockdown had on their population. Remember, all these spikes in crime is coming after COVID and all over the Caribbean. And I remember during the COVID period, crime was almost non-existent in a lot of the Caribbean countries.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I don't want to make an excuse and say, well, people were locked up during COVID and now they're expressing themselves, but we also have to look at what effect I'm not sure if the Caribbean countries have the money to the expertise, but we also have to what effect that lockdown had on our society. You know.
Right. Caller.
Well, Junior,
Yes, go ahead.
Junior,
Go ahead,
let
Doug.
me just let me just finish this. Let me just finish this, right? I have to totally disagree with that. In the case of St. Vincent, because St. Vincent have a steady rise in crime over the last 15, 20 years. It's been rising steady and it has not stopped. And COVID has not done nothing to it to slow it down, even during COVID, or to stop it, or to turn it back now. The crime been happening in St. Vincent since around 2007, 2008, and it's steady climbing. Last year, we had a record number. Year before, we had a record number. Year before, we had a record number. We've been having basically, we must skip 2 years in the last 15 years without a record number of murders. And then our rape situation in St. Vincent is even worse. And during COVID, rape get even worse, especially the victim knowing the perpetrator of the crime, and a lot of it comes down to some family members and so forth raping. So rape has gone up in St. Vincent in a dramatic fashion. High. Even during COVID and after COVID, it's even getting worse. And the laws in St. Vincent, when it comes to sentence and rape people, is so antiquated. It makes you want to jump off somewhere, man. It is bad. It is bad. So I have to disagree with him there when he say COVID lockdown and crime wasn't thing. Not in St. Vincent. St. Vincent is exception because St. Vincent was never closed for rape. But Junior, I want to go and let somebody else have their own say on this topic because it's a very important topic you're dealing with here today.
Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you so much for your input on that.
I just want to say that, Junior. I think one of the solutions that could be implemented, and when I mean most of the serious crimes that we're talking about in Grenada, we're talking about drug related. I think you need a unified port authority system in not only the OECS, but maybe the entire region. But I think they could start with the OECS, where the port system in Grenada, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Dominica, the whole OECS could be linked, one unified port system, so that when something happens, when someone brings drugs into a port in St. Vincent, the port authority in Grenada knows about it.
Right.
Like what we have in New York, between New York and New Jersey, we have one port system. And I think we need that. That is desperately needed because remember, we have open borders in the Caribbean.
Yes.
The Caribbean, Grenada doesn't have enough vessels to curtail the entire Grenadian coast. So guns, drugs, everything is pouring in because we do not have, the Coast Guard is not big enough. But I think if you could get a unified borders system between Grenada, St. Vincent, all these little islands, come together, one Coast Guard unit, one port system. You understand, Junior? You could have a more serious deterrent effect when it comes to drugs coming into these islands and guns. Remember, we don't manufacture guns in Grenada.
True.
Remember, we don't manufacture cocaine in Grenada.
True.
Well, I mean, we grow weed as St. Vincent and all the little islands grow weed, but they've been growing weeds for centuries, for decades, and we haven't seen the level of these kind of islands. So I'm thinking that's maybe a consideration that maybe these leaders and these government could come together and integrate their port system together, one for the entire region, and that would be very, very, very positive and have a positive effect.
Ashida is saying that our ports are corrupted. Many underhand dealing, money passing. I doubt anything will change that.
Well, I can't really. I'm not gonna go into that, comment on that. But I'm just saying is that we don't have enough forces to. St. Vincent doesn't have enough forces to cover the entire the shows, and Dominica doesn't have, and Jamaica doesn't have, and maybe we need to have a unified Caribbean Coast Guard system.
Right.
And
In the tracking of these illegal firearm is, of course, coming from the U.S., right? So it's no doubt about it. It's not coming from England, as I said earlier. Someone asked a question, I remember, on a press conference, and they say, how do you know it's coming from America? I mean, there's no doubt that the guns are coming from America. It's not coming from England. Definitely not coming from England.
But Junior, how do you explain that? In Grenada during the revolution, there was more gun than any other time. There was more guns.
Yeah, but no,
we didn't have that serious. We didn't have that kind of crime.
Well, then you mix that with opportunity. You mix that with
how do you explain that?
everything that we spoke about, what we spoke about. No, but there are more guns on the island that's coming through, and we're talking about no small gun. We're talking about some automatic rifles and all these guns coming through barrels, coming through rice and fish, not fish, sorry, rice and stuff in barrels at the ports. So there have to be a significant investment at the ports to scan the barrels. And America has a lot to do, because if it's coming from, say it's coming from the US, I'm sure that it could be done from this end to ensure that there are no guns, or there are some kind of search that could be done on barrels before you even get on the boat to head on to the islands. So significant investment has to be done from the port, because Grenada don't manufacture those guns.
But you know, America don't care what going out. They only care what coming in.
Right.
So, you know. So
yeah.
we as a Caribbean nations have to tighten our borders. And as I said, the only way I see that a unified port system and custom system and not only custom Coast Guard system is needed. And I'm not sure, I don't know why so far all these brilliant politicians in the Caribbean, in St. Vincent and Grenada, especially St. Vincent and Grenada, why they haven't created a unified Coast Guard system and where they could patrol these waters and you know, and at least you know what happened in each port. If we could share data, then you know if someone is coming into Grenada, and you know they were caught in St. Vincent 6 months ago, or they were caught in Trinidad.
Like a registry of sorts.
Yes, where you share data, but you know every island is proud and every island is hiding. Don't forget, Barbados had serious crime, but they don't talk about it because it's going to affect their tourism. So you know, I mean, every island it's shame, but I mean, it's sad to see Grenada go from 3 murders last year to 18, and something have to be done. Something have to be done. It cannot continue.
Well, here,
something have to be done.
Let me sum up and try to put this into perspective here, based on what we're saying, based on what we're prescribing that should be done. One, we spoke about unemployment, and I think that is significant and important, that if you increase the employment, there will be less people on the street and they'll have nothing to do with their time. If you have idle people, idle hands is the devil's workshop, right? So
I wouldn't say unemployment, but I would say opportunities.
Opportunities, yes. So let me rephrase that. Opportunities. Because when you talk about employment, you talk about going and finding a job. And I'm not an advocate of everyone just going and find a job, because a job is you're just over broke, J-O-B. You need good opportunities. If you have good opportunities, you have your entrepreneurship, you have a business, you go take time and preserve and make sure your business don't go down the drain. So you would consume your time in minding your business, in other words. So increase opportunities, right? So we approve that is a good way. That is a mechanism that should be implemented. Increase opportunities, yes?
Yes.
Right. Increase community engagement. The government by themselves, or the prime minister, or the 16 or 18 or how much ever political figures that are voted into government, they can't solve the crime problem, right? So it have to be a community effort. Everyone have to come together and realize that it's everybody's business. Like how tourism is everybody's business, crime and violence is everybody's business, because
mentorship, yes.
Mentorship, it affects everyone. Yes. So increase community relations efforts by community, by politicians, by churches, by NGOs. Just increase the community awareness. And I believe, and I will add this one, increase youth mentorship. Because if you have the kids, the youths, the young ones being mentored, and as you say, they could see that they have hope,
Yes, yes.
then they're better able to feel like, you know what, I have hope. I believe things going to happen. I am then going to start a job, start a new business, a micro enterprise. I'll start doing something because they have hope. Without hope, you don't have nothing to live for. So these three things, I believe, and those are low-hanging fruits, I would say. It's not something far-fetched or far away from the imagination. Those things could be implemented right now. So why do you think it's preventing any government or whoever from doing these very small things that could drastically affect longevity of the population?
I agree with you, but remember the government. Most governments focus is on the next election, and
That is the problem, and everything is
and
too politicized. The problem is, especially in our island, Denison, everything is so politicized. We need to stop the politicization of every bloody thing. Everything is a politics.
well, every Grenadian knows a politician.
Again,
Every Grenadian knows a
yeah,
politician.
everybody doing it for political expediency, political
And
gain,
exploiting the
exploiting
simplest
every
thing
goddamn thing
for
for political
political gain.
advantage. So
Yes,
this
yes.
one could say, oh yes, well, when this was there, then this never used to happen, and blaming the next one, blaming the next one, and it's not
Junior,
fixing the problem.
Junior, when Grenada wanted an increase in tourism, the government knew what to do. They build resorts. They get billions from Egyptian billionaires, from these billionaires. They build up granite. They build resorts. They build hotels. I'm saying if the government want to reduce crime and the hopelessness and the poverty among its people, the government know what to do.
Yes.
If the government want to provide adequate health care, just as you could build beautiful hotels and tourists and resorts for tourists, you could build beautiful hospitals for your people. Have to have government that cares about its people and are willing to invest in every child in St. Vincent, every child in Grenada, every child in Trinidad, every child in Jamaica. You have to take it. Government, it have to be a one-on-one approach at this stage because it's bad. And I'm just hoping we have 18 now in Grenada. I'm hoping it doesn't reach 20. As I say, from almost 3 to now, it's a huge jump. And we're not accustomed. Grenadians not accustomed to this kind of crime figures. We're not accustomed to that. We as society, you leave your door open but things have to change. And I believe in our people. And I believe in community outreach. I believe in social outreach. And trust me, if you have a one-on-one approach, and I have to say this, a lot of women raise their daughters, they didn't raise their sons.
Mm-hmm.
Sad because it shouldn't be the women alone, it should be the woman and the man.
Yeah.
And when you spend all your time raising your daughters and not your son, things like, you're going to see this kind of negative effect. And I'm not blaming anyone. God help me. God bless the Grenadian women because they are the one that keeping that country afloat and keeping the country going.
Yeah. They say
And
we tell a
so,
lot about a country by how the women are treated in that country. The women basically hold the family structure together, and that is true.
Grenada
Emphasis
it
needs
is.
to be placed, strong emphasis need to be
Yeah.
placed on the women because
And not only that, Junior, Grenada alone can't solve this. We had a guy from St. Vincent murdered in Grenada yesterday. Grenada and St. Vincent is tied together, you know?
yeah,
And Trinidad, Grenada and Trinidad is like, this thing is tied together.
yeah,
And what I'm saying to you is that this going to solve this issue, it's going to take a multi cooperation approach by all the Caribbean leaders.
true.
And I'm sure if Grenada and St. Vincent leaders get together and try to develop a strategy and approach, you would have a lot of reduction in a lot of the entanglements between Grenada and St. Vincent. So you need a but again, as Chuck just said, the Caribbean leaders come together, they drink their whiskey, and after the whiskey done, all the treaties.
It's all to do.
So,
Yeah, yeah,
so I don't know. I don't know, my brother, but you know what? Love your children. My thing is that, raise your children right, you know, invest in your children if you're a parent, and you know, even if you're poor, you know, you don't have the economic resources to do to give them everything, but at least instill with them, your children, respect
Yeah.
and instill the character. You know, listen, me junior, this is something that I've seen lacking in Grenada recently. Character. You
Character.
know, I go to Grenada and I see people just so sad, you know. Simple things,
Mhm.
simple thing.
But you know, Denison, the funny thing is,
A guy would borrow $20 from you and
yeah,
hide it from you. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. But the funny thing about it, Denison,
the
and
same.
that is a mindset thing, because I remember, as you said that, I remember growing up in Grenada. My family was never rich. We was 8 of us living in a small house, with little black and white TV. Everybody had TV, and then later on, when everybody had TV, we finally had our TV. But although we never had all of these things, when I want something, I used to go below the nutmeg tree and pick up 5 pound of nutmeg. That time nutmeg was $1 a pound. And go pick up some nutmeg and some mace and go and sell it in the nutmeg pool and get a little $20. My first initiative, because I didn't have it, was not to go and rob somebody. So the mindset has changed. So I'll have to go back to the mindset and the parenting. Someone asked what happened to that. I mentioned the 3 things, and I didn't mention the parenting. I think parenting have a very, very
Very,
important role to play in
very,
terms
very
of
important.
very, 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 very
Government,
important.
government don't raise children,
Exactly.
and it
Exactly.
takes parents to raise children, and people have to spend time and love your children and invest in them and teach them the right way and teach them the right way to go, and you would never go wrong. But I
That's
mean,
right.
there is always time when a child would stray, but we have to go back to basic. And you know, I'm not a religious man. You know, I've been getting a little more religious this last few days, you know, because of what I'm seeing happen in the world. And but maybe if even if you have to adopt you know, religious principles to instill certain discipline in your children, and whatever work for you and your children, but love your children, invest in them, don't give up on your children. And that's my advice to parents in the Caribbean. Government can solve it all, but the government have an obligation to make sure that every child have an opportunity to blossom and to have possibilities to make something out of their lives and provide that opportunities for that child.
Absolutely.
So you know, that's all I have to say on
Well, we're
this.
going to stick a pin right there. Thank you so much, Mr. Denison George, attorney at law, for your personal story as well. We're happy to have you here to help us out to understand, unpack all of this stuff that's happening from a legal perspective, from a personal perspective, and all the different perspectives that you lend with us. So thank you, and we're happy to have you here to do that for us whenever we call. And sometimes it's even short notice, but you appreciate
Yes,
you.
my brother. Thank you.
All right, cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, guys, that was Mr. Denison George. It was just this afternoon I called Mr. George, and he made time to come and chat with us, and I really, really appreciate that. Guys, let's take a quick break. I got some closing remarks, got some closing word for you. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. You're watching Right Along Live. Don't move.
The Ministry of Tourism and Economic Development and the Grenada Tourism Authority extend a warm welcome to visitors and returning nationals visiting for Carnival and summer vacation. We do hope you enjoy your stay with us, and we invite you to return with friends and family to celebrate our 50th anniversary of independence on 7th February 2024. Tourism is my business, your business, our business.
Yes, guys. Tourism is your business, my business, everybody's business. And whenever we see crime and violence, as we've been seeing on the rise, it affects every one of us. It affects every single person, whether you're rich or you're poor. Whether you may live in St. George's or you may live in a little house in St. Andrew or wherever, it affects you, it will affect you. So we all have a part to play, right? I want to talk a little bit about parenting, because what we've seen over the past years is a decline, I think, in the social togetherness of our people. And I think parenting has a big part, one of the biggest part to play. And Denison said it right. Oftentimes we pay so much emphasis on the females. The females are fine. The women are you know, you need to applaud the women and what they're doing. But oftentimes, they leave the young men to just raise themselves, or, men will be men, boys will be boys. And oftentimes, they don't get the focus and attention. Sometimes, not in all situations. And what we see, guys, is that a breakdown in society, because the young men are just left to wander. And you see that they may not get the education that they need. They might turn out that they may not even get a skill, and then they have to end up on the street. And what happens when you have kids on the street have nothing to do? They don't have the skill, they don't have the education, they don't have no experience. What else? You find an increase in the violence by these young men. So you have to be an approach where fathers have to be in the picture more. The women are doing a great job, but they need the support. Men need to embrace their kids, need to teach their kids. Men, we as men, we need to do more to help our children, to be there for our children. Help our children. It starts there. And then we could talk about the politics of it, right? Then we could talk about what politicians need to do. But it starts with the family, starts with that part of it. Us as men and family, even if you may not be with the female or may not be with the person, you might be divorced, but it's still your child, you're divorced. But that don't mean that you would ever divorce your child. You have to be present. Men, we need to take more of a proactive approach in our children's life. We need to play a more proactive role in their life. And that might be just the turning point. Because if a child could come to his father and express himself and come to his father and talk about the things that's bothering him, and the father could counsel the young man and let him learn from the experience of the father, he might be less likely to do something stupid or pick up some kind of hobby which might be totally against the law, or pick up a gun, right? So men, we need to do more. We need to do more. Early in the year, we did say that we will, we started the structure of a mentorship program. And we didn't forget about this, But the concept of doing this is so big, it's so much moving parts. We are still actively working on it. And I think it's something that we'll really try to expedite in the early part of 2024, where we could have male figures, right, mentoring young men, talking to them, having active meetings, showing them how to, apply, fill up or create a resume, how to show up on a job, how to dress, how to speak, all of these things, how to start a new business, how to write a proposal. All these things are important. And I think with our mentorship program that I promise you will get on the way sometime early 2024 to help young men, to mentor young men in making better decisions in their life. Right? So we'll tell you more about it. But family, men, let's step up and make things happen for our children. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being a part of our program today. We appreciate you so much. On behalf of all our production team here, our senior executive producer, Lois JJ, we say blessed night. Tomorrow, guys, very important. A lot of you guys probably applied for a visa to come to the United States or to travel out, right? But you find that every time you do it, they're turning you down. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the best practice for applying for a visa. We have Counselor Queen, an immigration attorney, that's going to be on the program tomorrow. We'll talk about everything you need to know about visas, about adjustment of status. Tomorrow is a big day, guys. Make sure you're here early, especially for people who are trying to get that visa stamp, who are trying to go on a vacation and they've been turned down, or if you're looking to adjust your status. We're going to be telling you a lot more about that. All right? Okay? And coming up very, very soon, right along live will also be, we have our immigration service that we'll be bringing on the way. So you guys are going to learn a lot more about that as well. Riders Immigration Service is going to be available for the folks here in New York who are trying to adjust their status or get their citizenship. All of that stuff would be available from Riders Immigration Service. Coming up, Saturday, September 23rd, the official Miami Carnival send-off. Kings of Kings, The Island Invasion, Looney Spark and Electrify, Jab King, Kush, Mr. Legs, Marlo, Taller-Man, hosted by Vibesman Redman. Listen, this is a big event. This is going to be a magnificent event. It starts at 10 p.m. Location, it's 178 Newport Street. That's 178 Newport Street in Brooklyn. For more information, guys, call 347-651-3745. That's 347-651-3745. Saturday, September 23rd, the official Miami Carnival send-off. Want to see you guys there. It's going to be a big event. Pick up Looney Sparks and Electrify. Everyone going to be inside. Inside! Want to see you inside as well. Right along is going to be there. Want to see you there. Also, guys, this program is brought to you with the kind compliments of the National Lotteries Authority, supporting sports culture and nation building.
I want you folks to play these 3 games from the NLA. Daily pick 3 cash flow and play with. You will be supporting sports and culture, nation building and our future. So go out and play, folks, make it a must. You will see what the National Lottery is doing for us. When you play pick 3 cash flow and play with, the NLA will support you all the way.
Starting September 30th, Monday to Friday, these 3 games will be drawn mid-morning, 9:45 a.m., midday, 12:45 p.m., and evenings, 7:45 p.m. The National Lotteries, supporting sports, culture, and nation building.
Sunday money day.
Request, repay, repeat with Ariza's FlexiCredit Evergreen Loan Facility. Qualify for a FlexiCredit with limits up to $25,000 or use your home equity to qualify for more. Extra cash at your fingertips whenever you need it, accessed using your debit card and managed using AMI, Ariza's mobile internet experience app. FlexiCredit allows you the flexibility to top up to your approved limit any day, anytime. Already a member? Send us a WhatsApp on 423-4987. New members join today to apply. Request, repay, repeat. Use your FlexiCredit for vacations, shopping, wedding, general expenses, and more. Ariza loan terms and conditions apply. Ariza Credit Union. Your financial freedom, your future.
The Ministry of Tourism and Economic Development and the Grenada Tourism Authority extend a warm welcome to visitors and returning nationals visiting for Carnival and summer vacation. We do hope you enjoy your stay with us, and we invite you to return with friends and family to celebrate our 50th anniversary of independence on 7th February 2024. Tourism is my business, your business, our business.